Hello everyone and welcome back to the second episode in Learning Swift at Crash That Code. Today in Learning Swift, we're going to be exploring functions. So let's go over here to Xcode. And please note this is the second video. So if you did not watch our first video on how to learn Swift, please go over there as that is necessary to be able to understand the content in this video. Thank you. Now let's move on. So we're going to create this thing called functions, exploring functions. Or just let's say playing around with functions, right? Click next. I want to create, and then we have this playground. Let's just extend that a bit. As usual, this is the print panel, and over here we have our code. Once again, we don't have to worry about this import UI kit stuff. We'll get to that later in our later videos. So, today we're going to explore what a function does. And basically what a function does is, it's basically this block of code that runs code. It's kind of complicated. It's basically this layout where you can pass different variables inside of it and get output, something you want. And as you get more complicated, functions become very useful. So today we're just going to look at the basic syntax and how to call a function, how it basically works. So like a var, we had this starting variable name to define a var. So the same thing is with a function. So we go func for the function, and then we have, as usual with the variable, we also have the function name that comes after it. So we're going to call this my first function, right? And then we have to, a part of the syntax, we also have to put these two parameters, and we'll get into why those are special later, and then these curly brackets. Right? And now we have our function created. And in our function, we can run some code we want to run. So let's start with, I'm just going to close this right area here. Or, whoops. Let's see. Okay, we can worry about that later. So what we're going to do is, we're going to create basically, we're gonna make this function run something. So let's say let's make the function add some stuff and then print it out. So let's say let number 1, and we're gonna make that equal to 5, and then let number 2, I want to make that equal to 12, right? Then we're gonna create a new variable called let added numbers equal to number 1 plus number 2, right? So this is, we've already covered this in our previous video, and we've explained what it does. So now in the function, what we're going to do is we're going to print this variable, the value of this variable, which should be 17. Right? And then, so as you can see, there's nothing on the side here being printed. And the reason for that is because we haven't called the function. So the function will only run this code, this highlighted code you see here, when this function is called. So let's get into how to call a function. So we're going to go below the function, and we're going to say, we're going to call my first function. For that, all we have to do is we copy this, and we paste it, my first function, put 2 parentheses over it, and bam, you're done. You've called your function, and now as you can see, you have this printed 17 value, which was over here. And once again, if we take that away, the function won't print anything. But if we add it back, it prints the 17 down below. So always remember, if you don't call a function, it won't run your code inside of it. So that's basically what a function is. It just runs some code that you assign to that those parameters. So let's call this defining a function with a comment just to make our code a bit more organized. And then let's create this thing called learning how to pass a variable into a function. Pass variables into a function, right? Yeah, there we go. Spelled learning wrong, so let's do learning how to pass a variable into a function. And now what we're going to do is we're going to create a function called find age difference. Okay, find age difference. And then we're going to have these two parentheses, and I'll explain there's something unique we're going to do with those. And then we're going to have these curly braces as before. So now what we want to do is we want to go over here into this area, and we want to add variables into this. And the way you do that is we have our variable name. So let's maybe say person1 as our first variable. And we're going to put these colons, and we're going to define it as of type int, and then we're going to have a comma, and we're going to say person2, and we're going to have type int. And so this is where stuff gets a bit complicated. So let me just go through this. So basically within this function, we have this function called find age difference. And then we have these two variables within the function that we've defined. Person1, which is of type int, which basically means a number, and then person2, which is also of type integer, which also means just another number. And so basically what we're allowing us to do is here, we pass these two generic items, and then we're going to define them later on when we call the function. And I'll explain how to do that later. But now what we're going to do is we're going to do something with these variables. We're going to do something with person1, and we're going to do something with person2. And what we're just going to do is we're going to create a variable called age difference. And what we're going to make it equal to is person1 minus person2 to find the, or let's do person2 minus person1 to find the age difference. And then we're gonna print out that variable. Let's print that out. Age difference. Just like that. Simple enough, huh? And let's see. Okay. So once again, it's not going to print out the age difference, and this is because the function hasn't been called, right? And you must be wondering, well, we haven't given person1 a value and person2 a value, so what's the function doing? How is it taking person2 and subtracting it by person1? Shouldn't that give us an error? Well, here's the fun thing about functions. What we do is we take this find age difference, we copy it, and now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to call it, right? But over here, the code's about to give us an error, and let's read that error. So the error says missing argument for parameter 1, person1 in call. So what it's basically saying is we haven't defined what person1 is and what person2 is. And until we define those, we cannot call this function age difference. So let's quickly do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to call person1, right? Because that's our argument 1, and what we're going to make it equal is to 15. Let's say person1 equals 15. And then we're going to take person2, and we're going to make that equal to 21, right? So here's the fun thing. So now what we've done is we have taken this function called find age difference, and we've called it over here. And then what we've done is we've passed this 15 number into this person1 variable, and then we've passed this 21 number into this person2 variable. So then what our computer does is it goes through our code over here, and now that it knows that person2 is equal to 21 and person1 is equal to 15, it takes 21 and subtracts it by 15. And then we print that age difference. So that is basically why functions will become important. It'll basically create, in the future when you get more advanced, it'll allow you to call code easier and make your code look more nicer and run quicker and more organized in general. And so as you can see, we did indeed get our print value, which was 6, which is correct because 21 and 15. So before I end the video, let's create a quick challenge. So challenge. So this is going to be a simple challenge just to, let's delete this code, just so you guys can't see it. And I would tell you to pause when I introduce the challenge. It's a quick challenge. Just take what we've learned from today and make another function where you pass variables into the function as I've described before. And let's see, what do you want to make it to do? And why don't you make it, why don't you just practice printing out the age of the person again and see where you can go with that? Maybe try to change it up a bit. Feel free to experiment with this. All I'm trying to say is make sure you practice before you end the video and move on, because that's very important to learning these fundamentals. Anyways, that will conclude today's lesson for Swift, for learning how to Swift. Please subscribe and like this video. Uh, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video, and thank you.